Yes, I think so. We're just waiting on one more interpreter.
Okay.
You can stall a little bit. Not, I'm calling them, so hopefully. Um, Hold on.
One moment. We're just going to start the webinar, get recording.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna hit record.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
And now broadcast.
We good?
Yep, I think we're good. Go for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sophia. Hi, my name is Larry Cruz, and I serve as the co-chair for the Charter Commission. And I wanted to take a moment to welcome everybody. This is Thursday, May 12th, 2022, the public hearing for the Portland Charter Commission. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to turn it over to our moderator for today to get us started.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Cruz. Hi, folks. As you're settling in, welcome. My name is Allison Brown, and I will be your moderator tonight. And I am joined today by my colleague, Travis Lumore, who is here to provide some support for the meeting. And the primary purpose of tonight's event is for community members, to provide testimony on the Charter Commission's proposed charter amendments. Charter commissioners and community members can attend tonight's hearing remotely or in person. So welcome if you're here in our virtual room or if you are joining us in person. We thank you for your patience as we manage any hiccups in our transition to hybrid meetings. This meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted online. We do have closed captioning available tonight. You can turn that on by hitting the live transcript button that should be at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you're joining tonight on a computer. We also have interpretation this evening in American Sign Language, Mandarin, Spanish, Somali, Russian, and Vietnamese. You can listen to this meeting in any of these languages, and you can access those channels by clicking the globe on the bottom ribbon of your screen. It's that button that says interpretation that looks like a little globe. Okay. And I think we're just going to make sure that the folks that are in person can hear us as well. Let's see. And also for our charter commissioners and folks who are in our virtual meeting, we do have the chat open if you need to send a direct message or experiencing some technical issues tonight for folks in our virtual room. We won't be using it for comments, but just want to make sure that folks know that that's available. Let's see. Folks in person, can you hear us?
I think they're about to adjourn. Is that something that has to happen?
I can see the body language that looks like
Well,
maybe they can't quite hear us yet. If you are some of the folks joining us in our virtual room, hopefully you can hear me and you can see me and you can access interpretation at the bottom of the screen. Okay, this is the portion of the evening where I just gently stall for time. I'm going to review the agenda shortly and let you know how we're going to be running some of our input tonight. But again, We're just working through the hiccups of hybrid and virtual meetings.
I can
So
read it on the screen.
yeah, if you're getting settled, you can grab a cool drink. Maybe you're snacking on something as you join. This is not dinner hour. Okay, I can see folks. Hey, to our commissioners who are there in person. I don't think they can hear me yet. And hello to our commissioners who are here virtually. Hello, commissioners. Nice to see y'all. And big thank you to all of our interpreters who are here this evening. Really appreciate y'all joining. Any news from folks in person yet? Okay. Well, as we continue to work through that, and also I'll keep talking so there's no dead air just in case the sound does come on. For folks who are in our virtual room, I'll let you know, and I may repeat this shortly, but I just want to let you know that our format tonight, we're going to have a short presentation. Our charter commissioners will be providing some opening remarks and giving you an overall presentation on the proposed charter amendments that the commission has been working on for the past 2 years now. And then we will conclude, and then we'll be opening it up for public testimony, and we'll conclude our evening with some closing remarks from some of the commissioners. So you'll hear from commissioners, we'll have our testimony, and then we will return back to our commissioners for closing remarks. Before I tell you about the other upcoming hearings, I just want to see any luck with in person. Are we good on sound there?
I've been texting with Anthony, just so you know, and he indicates that they cannot hear us still.
Okay, cool.
But the team is trying to figure it out.
Cool. Thanks, Commissioner Erbelau. Okay.
So you're in touch
Cool.
with somebody?
Yeah, it's funny.
Well, as we wait for that, how are y'all doing tonight? Commissioner Kitchen, I see you smiling. Hello.
Hello. Well, I wonder if at the in-person meeting, are there people there to testify?
Audio tech.
Maybe we can
that's
find
what
that out. If
was
there
thinking.
aren't, maybe, and it's just our commissioners there,
It's just
maybe we could go
fun.
ahead with the
It's a
presentation.
layout. Can we bump it up?
I'll text Anthony and ask him that question.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear us?
I think I got it.
Hey, can you hear us, folks?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Can
We
you hear us?
You. Welcome, welcome. All right, folks, thanks for that brief interlude, and let's get back into our meeting. Thanks for bearing with us, folks. Hybrid meetings, it's a brand new world. Okay, so I mentioned this briefly, but just want to let you know
I'll
our
adjust
agenda for
as
the
you do.
evening. We're going to have our charter commissioners give a brief presentation of an overview of the proposed amendments that the Charter Commission has been working on. Then we'll open it up for public testimony. I see some folks already, I know chat is disabled for folks in our virtual meeting who are attending, but we'll be getting to that public testimony part, and I'll be walking you through each of those steps. And then we'll be closing tonight's meeting tonight with a few closing remarks from our charter commissioners. And as a reminder from folks, we do have 2 more public hearings. This is the second in a series of 4. The next one will be on Tuesday, May 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. And the last one will be on Sunday, May 22nd from 12 to 3 p.m. For folks who are interested, you can also submit public comment by emailing. That's charterreview@portlandoregon.gov. You can also call 311, or you can submit written comments by mail, and you can direct those to the Charter Review through the Office of Management and Finance at the city's address at 120 Southwest 5th Avenue, room 901, Portland, Oregon. 4. So if you'd like to send any written public comments or verbal comments, you certainly can get in touch. And I think we will be adding, maybe we can add some of that into the chat for folks to see on the ways that you can submit comment. The public comment period does close at 5 p.m. on Monday, May 30th. So please join us for one of our upcoming hearings, or submit your comment through any of those channels provided above. So now with that, I will pass it on to Commissioner Knowles to share some opening remarks. Commissioner Knowles.
Hi,
Hello.
thanks very
Hi.
much. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. I have to turn around to see you, so just signal if something's not working quite right. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Knowles, and I serve as one of your charter commissioners. I'm so honored to be here with all of you. We have a boisterous crowd here in the Portland building, but more importantly, we do have a lot of people engaged online, and we're looking forward to your comments. I want to thank all of the staff who have helped us move along in this process. It's taken a small army of technical wizards to make sure that we can connect to the rest of the world, so I want to thank them especially. So just a little bit about where we are, how we got here. The city charter functions as the city's constitution. In December 2020, the City Council appointed a 20-member charter commission to review and recommend changes to the charter. If 15 or more commissioners agree on those changes, those recommendations go directly to the ballot for Portlanders to vote on. It is only by a vote of the citizens of Portland that the charter can be changed. Last summer, the commission decided to approach the charter review in two phases, meaning two sets of issues and two election cycles. So phase one is focused on form of government and elections. Phase two will be focused on some other issues, and the consideration of those additional reforms will begin this summer with a potential vote by the commission in December 2022. The Charter Commission will put the recommendations that we're looking at tonight on form of government and elections on the November 2022 ballot. The Commission prioritized that election because it is the one during our period of work that will have the highest turnout. And we wanted to make sure that Portlanders, as many Portlanders as possible, had a chance to consider and vote on those recommendations. The Charter Commission began its work by agreeing on that potential reforms should be evaluated based on their ability to achieve a set of outcomes that the Commission adopted at the beginning of its work. One, a participatory and growing democracy with more voices being heard in elections. Second, an accessible and transparent government with counselors who are easy to reach. Third, a reflective government with counselors who represent their communities. Fourth, a responsive government with counselors who understand your community needs. Fifth, an accountable government with counselors who will answer to the people. And sixth, a trustworthy government with counselors who safeguard democracy. I want to express appreciation to our community partners. I hope there will be a slide that indicates the extent of the engagement that we've had. This is a very important process, and it requires engaging Portlanders across neighborhoods, lived experiences, and backgrounds. We're committed to a community-driven process informed by equitable, accessible, and transparent community engagement. We partnered with the Coalition of Communities of Color on the design and implementation of community education and engagement activities so that we could meaningfully engage Portland's diverse communities in the charter review process. And we established a group made up of 7 community-based organizations to help us with that. We want to thank all of our amazing community-based organizations for partnering with us. And as you can see by the slide that should be on your screen, we've hosted 26 community listening sessions, received over 1,200 public comments, and had over 100 briefings with community groups across the city. Which brings us to tonight. Our past 14 months of independent research and community feedback has led us to our proposed changes to the city's charter. Tonight's educational presentation, which you'll hear in just a couple of minutes, will explain those changes. Last month, the Commission worked with the City Attorney's Office to draft the actual charter text to align with our agreements as a Commission, and we released that proposed charter text on May 3rd It's available on the commission's website. The public comment period on the proposed amendments ends May 30th at 5 p.m., so please get your comments into us. We are reading each and every one of them. After the public comment period, the commission will reconvene to deliberate on our proposals based on public input, and we will take a final vote on June 14th on the reforms to advance to the ballot. Thank you all for being here, either in person or virtually, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Now, I would like to pass it over to Commissioner Urbilel for our educational presentation. Becca?
Thank you, Commissioner Knowles. My name is Becca Urblau. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a Portland Charter Commissioner. We have about a 15-minute presentation about the Commission's proposed charter amendments before we get the opportunity to hear from all of you. Next slide, please. On March 31st, the Charter Commission preliminary agreed on a package of reforms to advance to voters. All 20 Charter Commissioners supported the package, which recommends 3 major changes. First, allowing voters to rank candidates in order of their preference using ranked choice voting. Second, 4 new geographic districts with 3 members elected to represent each district, expanding the City Council to 12 members. And third, a district-based City Council that focuses on setting policy and constituent services, and a mayor elected citywide to run the city's day-to-day operations with the help of a professional city administrator. Next slide, please. Portland is the only large city in the United States that has a commission form of government. In the current commission form of government, the mayor and city councilors directly manage the city's bureaus and set policy, which puts a strain on our elected leaders. Elected leaders are tasked with big administrative roles, even if they don't have the expertise to run bureaus like fire, water, and police, which Portlanders rely on. Bureaus cannot make long-term strategic plans to serve the city because the leadership of bureaus can change at any time after an election or if the mayor decides to reassign them. Because each elected official focuses on their individual bureaus, our city lacks a uniform vision to address current challenges. Our elected leaders are also not as accessible to Portlanders because they're weighed down by the day-to-day management of city bureaus. When our elected leaders are not accessible to the community, there's a lack of understanding of what the community needs. Portlanders have told us repeatedly that they want us to make structural changes to city government so they can better address the issues we face, and the Charter Commission has agreed. Under our proposal, City Council will no longer directly manage bureaus. City Council will focus on making policy and engaging Portlanders. A mayor, elected citywide, will run the city's day-to-day operations with the help of a professional city administrator. This structure of government is called a mayor-council form of government. In the mayor-council form of government, the roles of city leaders are clearly defined so Portlanders know who to hold accountable. It also ensures our elected leaders are accessible to the community and have time to build meaningful relationships with Portlanders to help to better inform policy. If the proposal is adopted by voters, a mayor will no longer serve or vote on the city council. One city councilor, chosen by their peers, will serve as council president and preside at council meetings. The structure has a separation of powers lacking in our current system. City Council will make the laws and a mayor will carry those laws out. 7 councilors, 50% plus 1, will be required to pass legislation. The Charter Commission is also recommending that we add a provision in the charter on budgeting. The current charter is silent and doesn't mention budgeting. A mayor will be responsible for proposing a budget no later than May 5th of each year. City Council will function as a budget committee and is responsible for approving the budget. City resources can only be spent in conformance with the budget approved by Council. In a mayor-council structure, a mayor will be able to provide political leadership to quickly address urgent local issues, and since a mayor is elected citywide, they will be accountable to voters. The Charter Commissioner's proposal ensures that there are checks and balances on our elected officials to create a more transparent and accountable government. While the mayor will have executive authority over city business, they will delegate some critical responsibilities to a professional city administrator. Portland residents rely on efficient and effective delivery of services, and we need a form of government in which a professional city administrator can effectively manage the city's bureaus. A city administrator will oversee city services, such as road maintenance, fire safety, and water services. The city administrator will be nominated by a mayor, subject to approval by a majority of city council. And a mayor will provide day-to-day supervision of the city administrator. The city administrator will be in charge, with a couple of exceptions, of hiring, firing, and supervising bureau directors, better insulating the bureaus from political jockeying and improving service delivery. The Charter Commission carved out 2 exceptions to this rule for the city attorney and chief of police. Those positions will be nominated by a mayor, subject to approval by city council. A mayor may remove the city attorney and or the chief of police. In 1913, when Portland approved the current commission form of government, city council was reduced from a 15-member council to the 5-member council we have now. For the past 109 years, the city's current 5-member council, including the mayor, has not grown, despite a more than 3-fold increase in the city's population. Today, we have only 1 elected leader for every 130,000 Portlanders. Portlanders are underrepresented compared to cities of a similar size, and we have been deprived of the political representation fit for a complex city of our size. Also, for more than 100 years, Portlanders have been electing city commissioners citywide. Any eligible candidate can run regardless of where they live in the city. And while commissioners are elected citywide, most elected leaders have resided in the downtown area or west of the Willamette River. Currently, when candidates run for Portland City Council, they pick a position, marked positions 1 through 4, that they want to run for. Then voters choose only 1 candidate for each position. The mayor and the commissioners for positions 1 and 4 are elected in a presidential year, and the auditor and commissioners for positions 2 and 3 are elected in midterm elections. In our current voting system, the candidate receives the most votes wins. A candidate might win the majority of votes, over 50%, or they might win even if they get less than 50% of the votes. Portland has both a primary election in May and a general election in November. If a candidate receives the majority of votes cast in the primary, they win instantly. If no candidate wins more than 50%, the 2 candidates with the highest number of votes cast appear on the general election ballot in November. Candidates can advance to the November election even if they've only received a small percentage of the overall votes cast in the primary. Next slide, please. The Charter Commission agrees, and we propose, oh, yep. Am I skipping ahead? Nope, I think I'm good. The Charter Commission agrees, and we propose 4 new geographic districts, with each district electing 3 city councilors for an expanded 12-member council. A councilor elected from a district must have resided in that district and been a registered voter in that district for at least 1 year before the election. The 3 councilors elected in each new district will run in the same race at the same time. A mayor and auditor will continue to be elected citywide. Electing multiple councilors per district addresses the fact that it's incredibly difficult for any one individual to represent the diversity of viewpoints, experiences, and problems facing a geographic district. Portlanders understand that just because you live in the same neighborhood as someone does not mean you share all the same politics or priorities. Electing multiple leaders per geographic district is something we are familiar with. For example, Oregonians elect 2 senators to represent us in the United States Senate. Districts will help elected leaders build strong relationships with the communities they represent and more deeply understand local community issues. Councilors' primary offices will be in their districts. Districts also reduce a significant financial barrier to running for office citywide. The cost of campaigning will be less because candidates can focus on a smaller geographic area. Finally, we want to address community questions about the salaries of the new district-based expanded council. The city's charter is currently silent about their salaries, leaving city commissioners to set their own salaries when they vote on the budget. In order to avoid any conflicts of interest, the Charter Commission proposes an independent salary commission, similar to those used in other jurisdictions, to set the salaries of city council and the mayor. The 5-member salary commission will be comprised of qualified human resource professionals with compensation experience and cannot be City of Portland employees, elected leaders, or candidates. Salaries will be set every 2 years. Portlanders frequently ask us about the district boundaries. The Charter Commission will not propose a district map. We believe the districting process should be undertaken by another independent community body with the time and resources necessary to robustly engage Portlanders. If voters approve the measure in November, we expect the districting process to begin immediately. A 13-member geographically diverse independent district commission would be seated by January 31st of next year. The district commission is responsible for preparing and adopting a district map. The district commission will be required to engage Portlanders. The district commission must hold a citywide public hearing early in the process to engage Portlanders in district criteria setting. And then it must hold at least 2 public hearings in each proposed district before it votes to adopt the district plan. Consistent with state and federal laws, the district commission must ensure that each district, as nearly as practical, is contiguous, meaning one connected piece, utilizes existing geographic or political boundaries, keeps communities of interest together, is connected by transportation links, and is of equal population. The district commission may also consider additional criteria. The final component of our proposal is ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is a voting method that allows voters to rank the candidates in their order of preference. In the example you see candidates are being ranked first choice, second choice, third choice, and so on, for as many as you care to offer a preference. You can rank as many or as few as you want, or simply just choose one candidate, like the current system. Using ranked choice voting, if your first choice doesn't win, you have other candidates that your vote can count towards. So if your first choice is eliminated, your vote would count for your next choice candidate. This reduces the number of wasted votes, since voters can see their vote counted for another candidate that represents their values and interests. Research has proven that voters who have used ranked choice voting feel like they have more choice. They have more use of their vote and are more satisfied with the overall outcome. As of November of last year, 43 different jurisdictions across the United States used ranked choice voting in their most recent elections, including Benton County here in Oregon and New York City. Another core benefit to ranked choice voting is that it allows for decisions in one election, eliminating the need and expense of May primaries for city elections. Eliminating May primaries ensures that more Portlanders can elect their city council during one election with higher voter turnout. The commission is proposing that we continue to elect city leaders every 2 years. A mayor and all councilors in 2 of the districts will be elected in presidential years, and the auditor and all councilors in the other 2 districts will be elected in midterm elections, coinciding with Oregon's gubernatorial race. If voters approve the reforms in November, the process to implement the will of the voters will begin immediately. The independent commission will be seated again in by January 31st of next year. The district map will be adopted by September of 2023. District-based elections using ranked choice voting will be in place for the November 2024 election. A mayor and a new city council will enter office January 1st, 2025 into the new form of government's roles and responsibilities. The city will need to develop a detailed transition plan and allocate funds to implement the reforms. The city budget office currently estimates the ongoing costs of the entire reform package to be between $2.7 and $10.2 million annually, or between 0.4% and 1.6% of the city general fund discretionary budget. The city has a $621.6 million in the general fund discretionary resources, which are funds that can be allocated with few restrictions. Discretionary funds are approximately 10% of the overall city budget. The budget office's estimates don't consider any potential cost savings of the reform package that may be achieved through the consolidation of bureau functions and streamlining the city's organizational structure and delivery of services. The Charter Commission recognizes that many Portlanders think the city is on the wrong track and that big changes, including in the structure of government, are needed to ensure our government is more accountable, transparent, effective, and efficient, responsive, and representative of every area of the city. You can find more information about the charter review process on our website, which hopefully will also drop in the chat. But for those listening, it is www.portland.gov/OMF/charter-review-commission. And as a reminder, we have 3 more public hearings. The next one is Thursday, May 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. The 3rd public hearing is 1 week from today, Tuesday, May 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. And our 4th and final public hearing is Sunday, May 22nd from 12 to 3 in East Portland in person. You can also submit public comments in any language by emailing charterreview@portlandoregon.gov, calling 311, or mailing written comments to Charter Review, Office of Management and Finance, 1120 Southwest 5th Avenue, room 901, Portland, Oregon 97204. The public comment period on the proposed amendments closes at 5 p.m. on Monday, May 30th. And all public comments will be shared and are, as we all can attest, completely reviewed, all of them, by every member of the Charter Commission. After the public comment period closes, the Charter Commission will reconvene and deliberate based on what we've heard. The Commission will take a preliminary vote on June 6th and send a reform package to the City Attorney's Office for ballot title drafting. While the Commission's emphasis is on finding a cohesive package of reforms that fit together and make sense for Portland in 2022 and beyond, we will let the legal analysis determine what is legally possible for the November 2022 ballot under the single subject ballot measure principle. And we expect to take our final vote on June 14th, with official ballot referral scheduled for June 29th. We want you all to stay engaged with Charter Review. If you want to learn more about the process and our proposed amendments or get involved in phase 2, please sign up for our email updates, submit written public comment, join virtual meetings, give verbal comment, request a briefing from commissioners or staff, or engage through one of our many partner organizations. And with that concludes our presentation, and we'll pass it off to our moderator to help us get started with public testimony.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. All right, folks, let's get into our public testimony. So I'm going to give you a bunch of instructions, and then we're going to get into it. So bear with me for a few minutes. As a reminder, this is a hybrid meeting. So we have some folks who are here virtually in our Zoom room and some people that are here in person. So as a community member here today, you can participate in either way. You can share testimony either virtually or in person. So for our public testimony today, folks will have 3 minutes to share their thoughts. And if you need interpretation or have requested an accommodation, you'll have 5 minutes. We do have a timer that you can see on your screen. It should show up as Blue Sky Timer. We're going to try to pin that so that you can have the visual cue of a timer. If you're in the audience, you might not be able to see it right now, but you should be able to see it when we get when you're promoted into the meeting. I will also be giving you time reminders when your time is up. We did ask folks to sign up in advance on the Charter Commission webpage, and we're going to start with those folks. If you're able to, please change your name in the virtual room so we know that it's the same name that you signed up with is the name in the Zoom room. I know from some of the comments in the Q&A that might be difficult for some folks. You might not be able to access the right screens. So when we get there, we'll just ask for your hands. We'll work it out. We'll make sure that you get you're able to give public comment if your name is showing up as something that you did not sign up with. We are going to go through that list of folks who signed up first, and then we're going to open it up to everyone else. So folks who are here virtually, when we call your name, you're going to get a little pop-up window in your screen that'll ask you to come in as a panelist. And we'd ask that you click yes to that, and then you can join us in our meeting room. You will then have the option to turn on your camera. You're welcome to do that if you like, or you can leave your camera off. We'll then put you back into the audience when your comment is done. I'm going to do my best to let you know who's coming up next in our chat, so you can keep an eye on that. But if you do get that little request window to come in as a panelist, please accept that, and that'll bring you into the meeting, and then you know that you're going to be up soon. If you're not, we're not going to allow folks to share screens today during comments, but if you do have any supporting documents that you'd like to share, you can email them to charterreview@portlandoregon.gov. For our folks who are joining us virtually via Zoom and want to give testimony, once we've gone through all the names of folks who have registered ahead of time, we're going to ask you to virtually raise your hand. We'll note down your name and get you in for comment. If you need interpretation, you can let us know what language you'd need by using the question and answer box at the bottom of your screen. And as a reminder, you can raise your hand virtually by clicking on the little hand icon that you should see at the bottom of your screen. If there are folks calling in on the phone today and you'd like to give testimony, you can raise your hand by hitting *9 on your phone, and you can lower your hand using that same command of *9, and you can press *6 to unmute or mute yourself. We'll also walk you through that if we see anybody who's here on the phone when we get to that part. And if there are folks who are joining us in person who'd like to give testimony, there are some Charter Commission staff folks in the room who will note your name and add you to the list. So seek them out, find them, and they will help you. When we get to testimony, we please ask that folks state your name, your zip code or the neighborhood or your neighborhood in Portland if you'd like. And if you're testifying on behalf of an organization, let us know what organization or group you're here on behalf of. I would also just make a short note that I'd ask folks to follow our rules of conduct for public testimony. Any disruptive conduct, such as interrupting someone or not concluding your testimony, will not be allowed tonight. If there are disruptions, I'll give you a warning, and then a further warning may result in you being muted or removed for the remainder of the evening. We want to be sure everyone who signs up can be heard. And if we do get through our signups early, we may be taking a short break and coming back together so that if anybody joins a little bit later, we can also hear them. But thank you so much, folks, to our commissioners, to our interpreters, to staff, to everybody who's joined this evening to give comments. We really appreciate all your help in making your fellow Portlanders feel welcome and giving folks an opportunity to be heard. So let's get into that. We have, according to our list, 23 people who signed up ahead of time for comment. We're going to start bringing you in, and then we're going to open it up for folks who did not have an opportunity to register ahead of time. And again, I'll walk you through those instructions again when we get there. And bear with us as we go through the portion of getting you in. But for charter commissioners, you did this earlier this week. But if we get through everyone and we don't see any hands raised, we're going to take a short break just to see if anybody else joins us, and then we'll come back. And then if we do that and we don't have additional folks coming into our room, then we'll conclude and move on to our closing remarks. We'll be reconvening again on Tuesday, May 17th for the next round of public comment. So let's get into it. We are going to start our public comment this evening. We're going to be bringing in Harriet, Debbie, and Babs. So Debbie, from the League of Women Voters, I believe that there are 2 of you in here. So if you can raise your hand, we can make sure that we get the right one in. So thank you very much, Debbie. When you get the alert to join as a panelist, please come on in. And Harriet, hello, good evening, I see you. Oh, you're muted?
Okay, how's that?
That's great. You can go ahead and your 3 minutes starts now.
All right, thank you so much. My name's Harriet Cook. I'm a retired physician. I have a master's in public health. I'm a member of 350 PDX, a climate advocate for 2 congregations, a mother and a grandmother of a 1-year-old. And I want to begin by thanking you all for your work and the work of the Charter Commission. It's an incredibly comprehensive review, and the recommendations have been excellent. It's a huge task. I'm here to simply fully support the Commission's recommendations that were presented in March, particularly for the city's governance structure reforms in phase 1. And these details I'll include in my written testimony, but they were just articulated beautifully, so I don't need to repeat them. In phase 2, I fully support integrating anti-racism, equity, and the overarching efforts to mitigate the impacts of the climate crisis, manifest our share of solutions, and prioritize environmental justice initiatives. Every year, we watch emissions rise in more catastrophic events. The IPCC report says we only have 3 years before we absolutely must start bringing down emissions and reduce them by 43% in 2030. We don't know what emissions coming down looks like. We have 3 years to hit the peak. The report also concludes that urban areas have a big role to play in creating opportunities to increase resource efficiency and significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The amendments proposed by the Charter Commission are an essential step in making this shift. As you said, we are not a small city anymore, and we're also part of a large world of problems integral with the world community. We need a governance structure that can support our size, the enormity of the crises, improve democracy, hear from constituents, and optimize coordination between the bureaus so that we can reach our climate and justice mandates. And I believe the Charter Commission amendments can help us get there. So thank you for allowing me to support your amazing work.
Thank you, Harriet. Let's go next to Debbie. Debbie, welcome. Oh, Debbie, you're also muted.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
And good evening. My name is Debbie Kay. I'm a resident of Northwest Portland, and I am pleased to be president of the League of Women Voters of Portland. For over a century, the League has helped strengthen our democracy and empower voters. As you've heard from our previous testimony, we've been following the work of the Charter Commission with interest and great enthusiasm. We're excited about the direction our city is headed should the Commissioner's proposed reforms pass. We're especially supportive of these elements of your proposal: expanding the size of the Portland City Council, using ranked choice voting for mayor and auditor citywide, using multi-member districts with ranked choice voting for council elections, and ending the commission form of government, shifting the city council to legislative functions. We submitted a written memo with suggestions for improving the proposal. It addresses the following issues with more detail than I can share tonight. 1, clarify the budget process. Both the mayor and city council have important roles to play in the budget process. We recommend the following division of responsibility. City council should communicate program priorities, ensure public involvement, and serve as budget committee and final decision-making entity. Council needs its own financial and budgetary staff. The mayor and city administrator should develop the city budget based on city council guidance and based on their extensive knowledge of the bureaus and city operations. With this in mind, we suggest that you review the language in section 2-128 to clarify a budget process that incorporates appropriate roles for the mayor and the council. The current language is somewhat unclear about the timeline, and we would like to make sure that council is involved early in the budget process. 2, clarify the different authorities for mayor and council. Our written memo also recommends that the commission request more information and analysis from the city attorney on Appendix B. The public would benefit from understanding the background and impact of the proposed changes, specifically about whether the council or mayor will have certain authorities now designated to, quote, the city, end quote. Furthermore, we recommend an analysis of the trade-offs in terms of transparency and public participation resulting from the shift in responsibilities from council to mayor and city administrator. We highlighted concerns about city contracts, but there may be other areas where this transparency matter could be an issue. Finally, the section on the replacement of city leaders in the event of an emergency deserves further discussion. We also encourage you to draft charter language that guides, but does not hinder, professional election administrators. In closing, we are excited about the reforms that you have proposed. Thank you for taking on big challenges with bold ideas. The changes we suggest will strengthen the reforms and make them sustainable into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, we're going to continue with Babs. Babs, I believe that you're on the phone. You should be able to click *6 and that will unmute you. Babs, are you there? Babs, again, if you can click *6 if you're listening, that should get you unmuted. Okay, I think we'll come back to Babs and make sure that they're able to give testimony tonight. Babs will come back to you, but let's go now to Nicholas. And I believe that Nicholas, you are in person. Nicholas, are you there?
Yes, hold on, I'm just sitting down.
Go right ahead. I can see you sitting down.
Okay. So one of the questions I have is whether the commission looked into the neighborhood system as part of, I heard that there wasn't any representation in city government, and the neighborhoods are sort of a quasi neighborhood or a part of the government. Is there a possibility that some effort and research could be invested in integrating the already existent volunteer neighborhood associations into the charter review recommendations? Currently, there are 94 neighborhood associations. I think you can do the math as to how many people are involved in that. I think expanding the neighborhood system to include more communities would be good. Build on to what these neighborhood systems already are, and strengthen the neighborhood association's role in government decisions. They're volunteers, unpaid, but they have a deep thread of civic involvement. I'm just going to read from the Portland, this was from the League of Women Voters of Portland Education Fund from October 2005. It sort of states some of the history of the neighborhood associations. Neighborhoods of Portland emerged as participants in city planning between 1966 and 1980. Among the earliest was Lair Hill, where students, renters, and Jewish and Italian families displaced by the South Auditorium Urban Renewal Project. That's where Keller Auditorium and Keller Fountain now are. They rose up against city plans for redevelopment. In 1966, Northeast Portland applied to participate in the Model Cities program. A citizens planning board was appointed to guide the project. In Northwest Portland, proposals to expand Good Samaritan Hospital along 23rd basically would have taken all of 23rd. It would not be what it is today. Had they successfully, does that mean I'm done? That sound? Oh.
Nope, it was just
to build a freeway spurred neighborhoods to organize and become negotiators for plans that saved older neighborhoods. In 1971, Southeast Portland successfully challenged the building of the Mount Hood Freeway. Forces behind the emergence of neighborhood voice were residents who reacted against city plans to urbanize older inner city neighborhoods through increased densities, commercial uses, and transportation projects. New city leaders who were not tied to old planning projects, who were not tied to old planning practices. Next, increased requirements for citizen participation in federal and state programs, including Model Cities, Office of Economic Opportunity, Urban Renewal, Housing and Community Development, and in Oregon, SB 100 initiating the state's land use laws.
Nicholas, it's your time
Sounds
is
good.
up. Great,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to continue with Erica in our virtual room. Erica, over to you.
All right, my name is Erica Lyon, and I am with Star Voting. And so I'm based here in Eugene, and I'm here to basically talk about this voting method. I know I've emailed the Portland City Charter a couple of times. I know other members of Star Voting have emailed you, so I'm just bringing it up again, just because it's, in addition to ranked choice voting, we believe this method of voting will actually improve upon ranked choice voting, keep its strengths, such as, keeping a variety of different candidates from different political parties to be able to compete on a more level playing field, and also to be able to give voters more voice. So those are the two keys that, that are present in ranked choice voting that we're intending to expand upon, and allow an even greater voice to voters. So in contrast to ranked choice voting, where it can only assign each each ranking to only one candidate, this voting method would actually allow you to give the same score to more than one candidate, so you could score each candidate independently from the others. I guess I should start at the beginning. STAR stands for score, then automatic runoff. So you're scoring the candidates individually based on how much you like each one. So instead of trying to rank one and the other, you can give multiple candidates the same score or no score at all. If you don't know enough about some of the candidates, you can leave those blank. But what's great about it is it allows you to voice your full opinion on each candidate. So for example, there's a candidate that you really, really like, or if there's more than one candidate that you really, really like and you can't choose between them, you can give them both a score of 5. And your vote counts for both of them and help both of them advance to the runoffs. Or if there are 2 candidates or more that you really don't like, you give them all a score of 0 and still have your voice be known. And that sends a strong message of disapproval that they don't get your vote. So either way, you can voice your opinion strongly towards your candidates, and you can give them any score in the middle too. And then another improvement is that it's a lot simpler to implement than ranked choice voting. Instead of using complex algorithms, it's basically just arithmetic. So all the scores you give to all your candidates are tallied up, and the 2 overall highest scoring candidates advance straight to the runoffs. So like ranked choice voting, this has a benefit of eliminating the primaries and allowing voting to be more efficient, but it also allows you to give your full voice to the candidates. So instead of only your top 2 choices being counted, all your scores count. So this reduces the exhaustive ballot too, in which if you're voting ranked choice voting, your top 2 candidates do not make it to the final rounds. So we're just trying to include more voices, have each voter be able to express their full opinions about each candidate, and just have overall a more democratic voting process. So thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you, Erica. Thanks for joining us. Okay, next up, we're going to go, I believe Bob is in the room in person. So we'll give Bob maybe a minute to get into the chair. Bob, come on up, and then we're going to continue with Shelley. And then for folks out in the audience, Tony, Tim, and Audrey, you're next in the queue. And hello, Bob. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name's Bob Weinstein, 97210. I first want to thank you for your efforts and hard work on the charter so far. I think the overall draft is a huge step in the right direction, especially insofar as it substantially changes the roles of city council members so that instead of individually running various bureaus and offices, they provide oversight and accountability as a group to all city operations. And certainly having the council focus, quote, almost exclusively on legislation and policy development, as well as approving the budget, will result in more efficient and effective government in Portland. As an aside, for whatever it's worth, I want to note that, among other things, I've had 18 years of elected office in Alaska, 6 as a city council member, and 12 as a mayor. So I'm very familiar with charters and the operations of government. First of all, I did submit some comments. I'm going to sort of summarize them instead of going over the whole thing. The expansion of the city council to 12 and electing 3 members from 4 geographic districts. In my opinion, you should have an odd number of council members. I don't know if 12 is being driven by 4 districts times 3, but every charter I looked at has an odd number of members, and the reason is simple. It's to prevent deadlock on issues that, in fact, do need to be resolved. I did find one well-designed study, and it concluded that assemblies with odd numbers of members are more likely to pass proposals than those with even number. and that they do, quote, a better job of producing good judgments. With regard to number of districts, I don't know why there's only 4. It seems to me that, and I don't know what the commission previously considered, more. Anchorage has 11. Seattle has either 11 or 15. San Diego has a double-digit number. It seems to me, unless it's being driven by the desire to have multi-member districts, that you might have better representation and have a situation where I think representatives would be more accountable to the voters if there were less than 3 per district. The role of mayor, the only comment I'll make right now is the proposed charter does not give the mayor veto power. I think you should. Every government, Congress, the federal government, the president can veto, state governments, governors can veto. Most charters provide that mayors can veto. And I think you're really missing an important check and balance if you don't do that. And then finally, I know I'm out of time. Election by ranked choice, I would urge you to, if you move ahead with that, to put it as a separate issue on the ballot, not have it lumped in with the overall change in the form of government.
Thank you so much. That's your time. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for being here in
Yeah.
person.
All right, Shelley, you're up next. I'm going to just give a brief buffer just so you can settle in and we can get our timer up and running. So just 1 second. And I think, are we good on timer? Cool. Shelley, go right ahead.
Hi, my name's Shelley. I live in 97212. I'm incredibly excited that you're doing this work. I've wanted this change in the form of government for a long time, and I hope it actually happens. I think that the change in the structure of the government is awesome, and the size of the city council is awesome, and having council members elected from districts is key. I think that the problem facing our city today is a lack of accountability, and I think those changes will all really increase accountability. So I say go forth. The thing I'm worried about is multi-member districts and ranked choice voting. I agree with Bob that if what you want is accountability, having people have to choose but among 3 representatives in non-partisan elections is a recipe for confusion and non-participation. Where multi-member districts are used, they're used in systems with parties. And so people have the party as a symbol for who to vote for. In elections where there aren't parties, having multi-member districts is gonna, again, I think it's gonna create confusion, drive down turnout, and I don't understand what problem you're trying to fix with that. Our city council is diverse. I don't get that. So, and similarly with ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting works with parties. It's designed to fix a problem with small parties not having representation. That's one of the things it's designed to facilitate. I don't understand the usefulness of ranked choice voting in a system, in a nonpartisan system. And I would agree with Bob, who just spoke. Do these things separately. Change the form of government, have people elected from districts, and see how it works out. If it's not representative, if there's a problem, then look at changing the electoral system. But let's try to change the fundamental problem, which is the structure of the government and the lack of accountability, and then move on to tweaking around the edges with the electoral system. That's what I say. Go for it on the big change, but those other changes to me are ancillary and will not help anything be better. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate you coming tonight. We're just going to do a quick reset of the timer, and then Tony, you're up. Welcome.
Thanks. Can you hear me? Excellent. I am very happy with the direction that the Charter Committee is taking. I think it's a massive step in the right direction towards accountability. And I will probably sound like a broken record after Bob and Shelley. I'm worried about accountability. I come from a culture in the nuclear Navy where the founder of the nuclear Navy, who trained Jimmy Carter, among others, said if you can't point the finger at the person who's responsible, then no one's responsible. So if people are going to live in a district of whatever size, and each district in Portland's going to have roughly 150,000 people, which is not crazy. But if they can't point the finger at one council member and instead have to point 3 fingers at 3 different council members, it becomes hard to determine who's responsible for the conditions in their district. That's my biggest worry. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. All right, Tim, you are up next. Tim, are you there? Tim, I think we're gonna send you a notice to come in as a panelist. If you're able to come in. All right, you may have stepped away for a minute, so that means Audrey, I can see you. You are gonna go next. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Audrey Zunkel-DeCourcy, and I am a Southeast Portland voter. I am representing nobody but myself in these remarks. I'm here tonight to express my gratitude to all of you commissioners and staff for the big, important changes you put together in the charter reform proposal. I'm especially excited about ending the commission form of government. I think this is going to go a long way towards making our city more efficient, more effective, and more responsive. It seems that these days too many people are expressing their hurt and grievance by looking for someone to blame. Some people blame our unhoused neighbors. Some people blame politicians. But blaming any individuals for our problems obscures that the system of government is itself the biggest barrier we face. I believe that today's city commissioners are generally doing the best they can in a system that is not designed to help them succeed. So your reforms meet a vital need right now to offer the hope of systemic change in place of scapegoating. Thank you. Moving into a mayor-council form of government will be good in the long run. But I do have a few tweaks to suggest to help make sure we're setting up the new government for success and so that voters know what they're voting on. I agree with others who have pointed out that separating powers between mayor and council must be done thoughtfully and transparently. Portlanders need to know who will do what. How do we keep tabs on what's happening and hold leaders accountable? An example of this has to do with oversight of city contracts. A few years ago, a concerned advocate asked about a particular city contract that was in the consent agenda for the city council. Council pulled it off the consent agenda to have it read aloud at the meeting. And that was how the public learned that the city of Portland was entering into a contract with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, a fact that has become fairly significant for our city's life. As I just learned, the only reason Portlanders found out about this contract was because it was on the city council agenda. The language in the draft amendment now has contract authority residing with the mayor, and that is fine, but there needs to be a role for council to play so that the public has a chance to be involved too. Public councils are a good way for the public to learn what's happening in their city government. And we as voters need to understand whether council or mayor will be responsible for certain governance functions after we pass your charter reforms. We need to know that before we vote. We also need to know that there will be ample opportunities for public involvement. I don't expect that we'll perfect city government in one election. There will be learning from the implementation. But the best way to ensure we do learn is to build public involvement and transparency in wherever we can. Because as well as systemic reforms, the people of Portland need to feel empowered to participate and address the problems they see around them. So, thank you again for your hard work this past year and a half. Thank you for modeling and embodying the transparency we all want to see in our local government. I hope you all feel really proud of how much you have accomplished, how much you've learned in the past year and a half, and how much you have taught all of us in the city along the way. I look forward to passing these important reforms this fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. All right, we're going to try and get Babs on the line. Babs, is that you? Hi, welcome. Go ahead and you can unmute, and the 3 minutes are over to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can.
Yeah, I thought I had gotten this Zoom thing down, but this time I had trouble. Anyway, lifelong Portland resident, zip code 97232, Old Portland neighborhood, Sullivan's Gulch. As a lot of you know, I have attended many of these meetings and have done a lot of research. And I am fully supportive of all the proposed changes. Listening to a few other comments, yes, there's going to be glitches. There's going to be things that won't work exactly like we think they should. But I am having faith and trusting that this is a work in progress, that things are going to come up that we weren't, that all of you, that none of us would be able to predict. It's good to have the timeline of this will be implemented over the next couple years. And again, there will be fine tuning that's going to need to happen. That to me is just a given. The question for tonight, you mentioned that the attorney will be reviewing again the recommendations. I did Zoom in on the meeting with the attorney a couple weeks ago, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of fine points. She was excellent at saying this will work, this won't. So she will be reviewing again the recommendations. Will the public be able to view that meeting with the attorney the second time? That's my question. Okay.
I'm not sure if the commissioners, we want to be able to give you the space for your comments tonight, Babs, but I did see some nodding heads, so maybe we can drop that into the chat, the response from the commissioners on your question.
Okay. And so I actually forgot that I'd signed up for tonight, so I didn't have specific comments other than what I just rambled out. The question came to mind as I was listening to the summary. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for giving me the time to talk again, and thank you for all your work. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Babs. Okay, we'll continue with our comment. Tim, I see you in the audience. We're going to send you an invitation to join as a panelist. If you select that, you can come into our meeting and give your comments. So Tim, if you're out there and you'd still like to give comments. Okay. Hey, Tim, are you there?
Yes, I think I'm unmuted now.
Hi, yes, go right ahead.
I am supportive of everything the commission has done. My concern is with the multiple representatives from each district. I lived in a small community that was run by a board of governors, one governor from each of the 7 small districts in the development. We had some pretty politically savvy folks who represented one part of the community, not geographically, but one social part of the community, and they persuaded the community to vote for at-large voting. And that completely destroyed the former homogeneity of the community by placing one small group who were socially cohesive enough to elect their candidates every single time there was an election. So all of the people who used to live in portions of the community who could complain directly to their governor, and that governor would then work with the employees of the community to correct whatever problem it was. That power was taken away, and if the people on the new board didn't like you, you would get no response from them whatsoever. So I would like to see, rather than 3 representatives from a single district, 12 representatives or 11 representatives from 11 districts. So the districts would be smaller, but each district would have a single individual who could represent them and get their personal and individuals' problems solved with the power they have as a member of the city council. So that's my only recommendation for perhaps improving the system for the benefit of the small people who often don't get heard because they're not involved in politics, and that's a big part of Portland. I wish that I could say that changing the city form of government would resolve some of the tremendous cataclysmic problems that are facing our community now, but I cannot imagine that any form of government is going to take us and elevate us back to the lofty position we held in the worldview opinion only 3 short years ago. We fell from the top, from the outhouse to the penthouse, from the penthouse, to the outhouse, as the old saying goes. People are no longer moving here. People are talking about leaving here, and that is because of the overall political will of the community that accepts unacceptable behavior as a norm. That is not the way your family should work. That is not the way your city should work. You don't help anybody, particularly you do not help the people who are doing the unacceptable behaviors, because the real world will not treat them like that.
Tim, that's your time this evening.
All right, well, thank you very
so
much. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, let's continue with our comment. I believe, Lori, I think I see you out there. Lori, if you're the Lori that signed up to give public comment, if you can raise your hand, we can bring you into the room. Just want to check to make sure it's the right Lori out there. And as we do that, we are getting to the end of our list of folks that I can see in the room that signed up ahead of time. So it is the portion where we will open it up for other folks who would like to give comment this evening. If you would like to give comment this evening and you have not signed up ahead of time, you can raise your hand. You should see a raise hand or a little hand icon on the bottom of your screen. And you can click that and we'll see you there and note your name. And if there's anybody who is there in person who'd like to give public comment, you can talk to the city staff that are in the room and we'll note you as well. Okay, I see a couple of names, so we're gonna keep going. Charter commissioners and folks, we doing okay? We can hear a few more comments and then maybe take a break? Okay, great, so we'll keep going. I see 3 hands in our digital room, so we'll go to Terry, then Anne, then Joan. And again, if you're thinking about it, you can get your virtual hand up, or if you're on your phone, you can press *9, and that will digitally raise your hand for us. So Terry, welcome. Are you there? Hello.
Yeah, here I am.
Hi, go ahead.
Thanks. I thought I had signed up for this. So anyway, glad to have this opportunity. I'm Terry Harris from Southwest Portland. On Tuesday, I spoke and outlined some reasons why multi-member districts are a bad idea for Portland. And tonight I'll focus on one of the main reasons, the fact that the 4 districts are going to be way too big. Remember, the purpose of district-based representation is a council member can focus on the problems of the district. So district-based council members can and should be much more than what Portland is accustomed to. As we know, in other cities, council members don't run bureaus. Instead, constituent service is usually more important, and district-based representation is what makes it possible. In other cities, city council members are neighborhood activists and advocates. They are also neighborhood-scale organizers, troubleshooters, problem solvers, social workers, mediators, facilitators, and ombudsmen. And as I said on Tuesday, each council member represents the entire district. All the neighborhoods, the schools, the roads and streets, the sidewalks, the encampments, the crime and drugs, the trash, and the traffic and parking problems. A former Baltimore City Council member once told me that his main goal was to transform the phone calls into his office from complaints about crime and drugs and broken pipes to complaints about parking dogs and landscaping. Council members are the voice for the district, but they are also the eyes and ears of the city in the district. Indeed, they are critical early warning systems for city government because they can diagnose problems and propose better solutions earlier because they have a more detailed local understanding. When Baltimore got rid of multi-member districts, the legislative and oversight activity increased dramatically because issues filtered up from neighborhoods more efficiently. Baltimore was then able to take on citywide issues like nuisance properties, tax sales, absentee landlords, water affordability, and big polluting facilities. But this only works when the size of the district is small enough and a single point of contact can take responsibility and be directly accountable to voters, which is why the proposed multi-member districts won't work. Why even have districts if you can't take advantage of these key benefits? Finally, smaller districts will diminish the influence of money in elections. Districts, when they're small enough, for example, will make most media advertising unaffordable. More importantly, though, council candidates in right-sized city districts should literally be able to knock on every voter's door. A friend of mine who is a council member in Baltimore knocked on every voter's door 4 times in her most recent campaign. She's sort of an overachiever, but she's who you want representing you in your neighborhood. Not one of 3 representing a full quarter of the city who are always too busy to take your call. Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks for joining us. Anne, you're up next. Over to you.
Thank you. I'm Ann Kelly Feeney, 97212, representing myself. I'm so in agreement with the fellow who just spoke. I've been on many boards. I've been chair of many boards for not-for-profits here in Portland. I was the elected Multnomah County auditor, where my responsibility was performance evaluation of Multnomah County many, many years ago, 1982, for 2 terms. So I really understand running for office, and I treasure it, and I admire it. And I totally agree that it should be many more districts, more like 11 or 9, 1 person representing each. Your complete representation so intimately with a smaller district is going to be quite profound. So that's something I agree with. And I also think, I just don't quite understand why the mayor doesn't have a vote along with the council. Especially, it's so important to have an uneven number of board members. So whether it's 10 districts with the mayor having a vote, I surely recommend that. And right now, myself and many, many of my civic-minded friends and acquaintances are very leery of the part that you all, in all your goodwill, and I thank you for your efforts, are saying, that 3 people from the district just sounds insane. And so most of my acquaintances and all are really concerned about that part of it. Otherwise, your ranked choice voting fascinates me. And certainly the city administrator concept with a mayor, prominent mayor, I want to celebrate that. And thank you so much for coming toward that model, away from the commission form running bureaus when they really don't have any knowledge or background or expertise to be in charge of day-to-day management. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Anne. Right, next up, we're going to continue with Joan. Joan, are you there? Joan,
yes, hi, thank you. First, I want to say thank you to all of you for your efforts in doing this work. It's very, very appreciated, and the changes are very needed. My main comment is because I'm unclear how the ballot will actually be presented to voters, and so it's not clear to me whether or not this will be like an all or nothing type vote. And so I have heard people who say, well, I generally like it, but I don't like this part of it. And so my fear is that some people may vote no because they don't like some aspect of the changes, because there's more than one change that's being presented. And so I guess my comment is to please consider whether or not the vote can be done where people are voting on portions of it, if that makes sense. So so it's broken apart and you can vote yes or no on the different components. And another comment I want to make is just that I agree with the last two speakers. That's the main, for example, that is the main thing I don't like about what has been proposed is the multi-member aspect of the districts. And so I don't know that would cause me to vote no, but if it was embedded in an overall, in an overall choice, anyway, that would be the thing that would tilt me towards no. So anyway, that's just something to consider. And I could be completely off base because I don't know how it will, whatever it will end up eventually being presented to voters. So again, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Joan. Next up, I believe it's Lori and Bert.
Yes.
Hello. Go right
Hi.
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. Thank you for letting me in there finally. I was beginning to wonder. But I want to thank all of you for the hard work you've done. I know it's difficult. They're difficult issues. But my name is Lori Rogoy. I've been a resident of Portland for nearly 60 years, and my husband, who is 92, is a lifelong resident. He's been a native, one of those rare ones. We are both devastated by what has happened to the city we love. Never could we imagine that we would go into the heart of the city and see empty streets, except for people who are living them, or be nervous about going to a concert downtown. I know that the Charter Commission and the city are well aware of those problems, and I'm sure they want to make changes to the charter which will address. But Portland doesn't have the luxury of time. The problems are immediate and need the attention of experienced leaders. We can't afford to elect a large new group of officials who have not worked as a group or even know each other. We need to retain a small city council with members who know how to work together. And they should put aside everything in order to deal with the only two issues that should be on the drawing board: homelessness and crime. I don't presume to be an expert on either of these issues, but common sense tells us what we need to do. First, give everyone who wants off the streets the ability to receive shelter and appropriate services. Secondly, those who want to stay in the streets should be encouraged to leave the state if they do not have an Oregon history, because we should not be spending city and state dollars on those who move here from other states because Oregon is such an easy time. These are, of course, broad brushstrokes. There are too many mentally ill and able to accept the help they offer. There are abused women hiding from their abusers, children who feel safer on the streets and in shelter. So I'm cutting through, but these are the issues that we need as council that is small and effective and can work quickly to address. We don't have the luxury of time. I also want to talk briefly about the police. We need a police force of appropriate size, police and city leadership who develop policies which let them do their jobs with the tools they need, not handicapped by policy. I know these are different opinions that are being voiced here, but I think I speak for a lot of people in this city who are quiet and not speaking up. I believe that if we pass this as it is, put this on the ballot as it is, it will fail. I hope the time will come quickly when we will have a city charter with a strong mayor and a city manager. We're not ready for change that is being put forward all in one ballot. Now, I think somebody else talked about separating the pieces. We need to do that. So thank you for a chance to speak.
Thank you so much, Lori. All right, folks. I believe those are all the hands that we saw come up after our list of folks who had registered. I got a note that we don't have anyone else in person who would like to give public comment. So commissioners, let's take a 15-minute break. We'll put up a slide. It is 7:24. So let's come back at this is difficult math. Help me out there. It's 7:39. Let's come back at 7:40. Let's come back at 7:40. We'll put the time up on the screen for folks who are tuning in. You also get a break. So commissioners, you can turn your cameras off. We can stand up, and we will be back at 7:40. And we'll see anyone else here who would like to give comments. If you're considering giving comments, you'll get an opportunity when we come back at 7:40. So get your hand raised if you would like to give comment, and we'll be checking back in 15 minutes. Okay, see you soon. Thanks, folks. you, Commissioner Knowles, Commissioner Castaneda. All right, welcome back, folks. So I'm going to repeat our instructions for public comment. We are looking for hands from anybody out in the audience who'd like to give public comment. We will send you a little notice to be promoted as a panelist or join the meeting as a panelist if you're in our virtual room. That'll allow you to turn on your video if you like, unmute yourself, and we'll give you 3 minutes for public comment. If there are any folks who've come into our in-person room, I don't think that we have, but just in case, just let us know and we can get our in-person testimony going as well. But with that, I do see 2 hands in our virtual room. So if our commissioners are back, hey commissioners, I see a lot of you back. Welcome, welcome. We'll go ahead and get right back into our public comment. So Ashley and Pac, I see both of your hands. And Ashley, we are going to start with you. So you should see a little notice to join as or be promoted as a panelist. If you can accept that, we'll bring you into the room and then you can get started with your comment. Ashley, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Go right ahead.
Great. So I am, thank you so much for your work on all of this, and I appreciate you giving some time for me to speak. I am in support of the ranked choice voting. I do agree with what some other folks have said about putting the ranked choice voting portion of the package separately, having that be voted on separately. And I also agree with a sentiment that was raised earlier about city council being comprised of an odd numbered total. That does make sense to me from a logistical perspective. Even if it means increasing council to 15 members spread across 5 districts, that would still maintain the multi-member structure, but help possibly prevent deadlock. And I think that the most important thing in creating that structure is just making sure that there is a balanced, diverse, and equitable representation. You know, there is some strong evidence to suggest that women are more likely to be elected to multi-member districts, and that those of different ethnic, religious, and different language groups are more likely to be elected to multi-member districts. So that is something that I am taking into consideration. And then finally, I am also curious about accountability and how that will be communicated and adhered to. Personally, I don't feel that pointing a finger at any one person is always super helpful without proper recourse. And I think it's fine to point 3 fingers at 3 people as long as there is a strong structure in place for holding those 3 people accountable. And that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, Pac, I believe you're next. Are you in the room? Pac, are you there? If you're speaking, you're still muted. So if you can unmute yourself, I'm just looking through my screens. Yeah.
Oh, there, I'm unmuted.
Go right ahead. I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Hello, is there
Yes.
someone still on the screen?
You can go ahead, yep.
Oh, well, first of all, I commend you on your efforts. I've long supported government reform, even starting in Washington, D.C. It's archaic and outmoded. I agree with having more districts. I'm wondering if you could proportion them according to population, if that would be possible, which means that geographically some districts, sections would be larger to gain the same amount of people in another district. And I'm not sure, since I'm kind of new to your situation here, if the mayor is not part of this new arrangement, could he be the ex officio person to break the tie vote, keep it in an even number, and use the mayor as and then that will keep him abreast of what is going on. Again, thank you so much for your efforts. I'm a proud descendant of 1844 Oregon pioneers, and I'm pushing 91. I've been a lifelong Portland resident, and I love my city and hate what's happened to it. But keep up the good work. It gives me hope.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Okay, another call out there. If anybody is here in our digital room or in-person room, you can raise your hand. If you're calling in on a phone, you could press *9 to digitally raise your hand as well, so we know that you'd like to give testimony. And I'm looking out at the digital room and I'm not seeing any hands. It's my final stall. If you're looking for that button, now's the time to hit it. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any additional hands out there, but thank you so much to the folks who did come for comment in our after the break. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for everyone who gave comment this evening. This is going to conclude the testimony for this public hearing. I want to thank everybody who came and testified, and also thank you to all the staff who made this possible. Thank you to Open Signal for helping with our hybrid meetings. Sophia and Travis for your support with a lot of Excel spreadsheets behind the scenes, and to all of our commissioners who were here this evening, and to our interpreters. Thank you so much for everything. So we will close our meeting tonight with some closing words from Commissioner Cruz. And Commissioner Cruz, I'll pass it over to you.
I think we were passing it to Commissioner Castaneda. Is that still what we're doing? Yes? Okay, that's what I'm hearing. And Commissioner Castaneda, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Again, I just want to thank everyone who came out tonight. Sorry, this is a little funny because I'm in an empty room. I thank everyone that came, the two folks who came and testified in person or provided public comment, and everyone who joined us via Zoom to provide their thoughts on the proposed amendments. I wanted to remind everyone about the two upcoming public hearings that we're having. So Tuesday, May 17, 6 to 9 p.m. and Sunday, May 22nd, 12 to 3 p.m. And I'd also like to remind folks that May 30th is the last day for public comment, I believe by end of workday that day. We heard a lot of great public comment today. I didn't tally the number of folks who spoke, but we got close to 2 hours of public testimony tonight. I heard things of touching on budget process, clarifying that within our proposed amendments. I heard comments about emergency powers and situations that they described in which those emergency powers can be exercised. We heard calls for clarification around accountability, clarification and transparency around contracting with the city, as well as several concerns and suggestions for the structure of our proposed amendments and how they may show up on the ballot. So again, wanted just to thank everyone. Thanks to our amazing staff and our I-team staff here today who's made this possible, bringing this event hybrid, and to our two co-chairs who have been hosting this and moving us along. So we're in the final stretch, and again, thank everyone for coming out tonight. Do I kick it back to someone, or do I close it out?
You can, I think whatever you'd like to do. I misread the notes, so now we're just going with whoever would like to close. Actually, Commissioner Streeter, would you like to say any other words of closing? You were on the list. I apologize.
Oh, it's no problem at all. Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate, thank you everyone for joining us tonight and testifying. We really appreciate you all being patient through any technical difficulties that we had as we are having this hybrid session, and thank you to the people who showed up in person, waiting so patiently to say what you had to say. I think we heard a lot of comments tonight that were interesting and very diverse, so thank you everyone for being honest and sharing your thoughts with us. Yeah, and hopefully you can continue to engage with us and tell your friends, family, and neighbors to also give their input before the deadline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, commissioners. And just as a final reminder to folks, if you would like to give that input before it closes on May 30th, we have 2 more public hearings coming up. The next one is on Tuesday, May 17th, and that's from 6 to 9 p.m. That'll be a hybrid virtual meeting, much like tonight. And then we'll be having our last one on Sunday, May 22nd, from 12 to 3 p.m. Sophia has put those links to find out more into the chat, so maybe we'll do that one last time if you'd like to find out more about the upcoming public hearings. You can also submit public comment by emailing charterreview@portlandoregon.gov. You can call 311, or you can mail written comments to Charter Review through the Office of Management and Finance, and that's at 120 Southwest 5th Avenue, room 901, Portland, Oregon, 97204. And as a final reminder, that public comment period closes at 5 p.m. on Monday, May 30th. So if you would like to give public comments, a number of ways for you to continue to join the conversation. Okay, now I think I will turn it back to Commissioner Cruz. I apologize for that, but back to you.
Allison, you did a great job. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to Allison. Thanks to the folks at JLA. Open Signal, commissioners who presented today, thank you. Thanks to the staff. There's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes, and so we're really appreciative of everybody bringing the work they do today and every day that we meet. So, but lastly but not leastly, thanks to those who came out to testify today and provide your input. It's really important to us. We appreciate every single one of you, and we'll be looking forward to continuing to read your comments and listening to you further. And with that, we are adjourned. So have a great night, everyone.